You, my friend, always love commenting, and you have like 60,000 plus Twitter followers because of just the way you like to talk baseball, which is amazing. And like I said, you've done stuff on MLB Network before. You started what people are referring to as a poop storm on Twitter yesterday, and it all comes back to this story about Tyler Glasnow and the MLB, Major League Baseball, saying they're going to ban the foreign substances for pitchers to get a better grip on the baseball and all that. First off, just on that ruling with Major League Baseball and the Tyler Glasnow story, where do you stand on all of that? Yay or nay to Major League Baseball?
I think Major League Baseball continues to fail. They fail over and over and over again. And the way that they fail is that they never take any responsibility for essentially what is their own actions, right? And we've seen it here with the quote-unquote sticky stuff. We saw it before that with the juice ball era. We saw it before that with the steroid era. We saw it before that with the cocaine use in the 80s. We saw it before that with the amphetamines. And the one thing that remains true throughout all of these is Rob Manfred. He's always at the center of all of these things. He was at the center of the steroid era. He was at the center of the juice ball era. He was at the center of the sticky stuff era, whatever you want to call it. It's always been Manfred. And for some reason, fans, or Major League Baseball actually can turn fans on each other, I guess. But fans constantly are blaming players and teams. And I've had enough of it. And so part of what I came out with was regarding what Major League Baseball let happen. And, I did something I didn't want to do. The only reason I named guys like Adrian Beltre, Chase Utley, is because they had previously been named. I would have never used these guys' names otherwise.
What's really interesting, real quick, just on Beltre for a second there, is how many clubs he has been with and how this kind of followed him around is one of the things you highlighted.
So you might be mixing up Beltran.
Beltran, excuse me, yeah.
So Beltran took it from, I believe he took it from New York to Texas and then to Houston, or it may have been Texas to New York to Houston. But Beltre is a very interesting case because he was kind of doing this thing on his own. And again, the only reason I mention him by name is because he had previously been outed by somebody else. Otherwise, I would have never used an individual's name. Absolutely not.
And this is just stuff you've heard from, being around Major League Baseball, making yourself, kind of intertwining yourself in the league itself. It's really amazing all the information you've gotten from just having good relationships.
Well, it's like we said. I'm a ball player. I just suck. These guys, a lot of these guys talk to me. They trust me. I don't know why. They for whatever reason. Guys like, Bregman and McCullers and Ashley, who I mentioned, and Rupp. These guys look at me as like one of their peers for some reason. And I have no idea why,
So, again, you didn't mention anybody's name that wasn't already out, as you just said. Have you received any backlash from anyone you've talked to about putting things out on Twitter like you did yesterday?
So, what's funny is I actually have received a ton of backlash mostly from fans, really pissed off, mostly Yankees fans, I'll tell you, not happy about what I said. However, I have also received a number of texts from players who are saying like, dude, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think even, let me see. Josh Reddick put it out publicly. He was like, dude, this guy is like the saint, he was all about it. I've received a number of emails from guys saying like, we really appreciate you going to bat for us here. Obviously, a bunch of Astros because those guys got burnt for all of this. But man, it's been a mess, and I don't think it's going to get any better. And if you look at, for example, somebody who I really respect and really like, Saris, you know him?
I do not.
So he's I believe, a Fangraphs guy, and also I want to say Baseball Savant guy, and he's somebody who commented on what I said. He was like, "This ain't it. This ain't it." I disagreed with him. I think, from my opinion, I think I did the right thing. I think it was time for this to come out, and I had enough of it. I just, it was time. It was time.
All right. So you're doing this mostly to hold Major League Baseball accountable, saying you guys are allowing this to happen most of the time, if not every single time. It's happening, and you don't say anything until it becomes public, more or less.
Yeah. And so for me, Major League Baseball, what they do is they skirt any responsibility in every single situation, right? Think back as recently as 2 years ago, right? With the juice ball era, right? Major League Baseball said, hey, it's Rawlings' fault. Well, wait a second. You guys just bought Rawlings 6 months before any of this happened. And you're going to tell us it's their fault? You're going to tell me that it's Mark McGwire's fault, it's Barry Bonds' fault, it's Sammy Sosa's fault, when you don't have rules that say you're not allowed to do this, that, and the other thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's not right.
I think there's really no better glaring example of baseball just looking like a bunch of buffoons, unfortunately, than the Astros scandal that happened 2 seasons ago now, or 3 seasons ago, but 2 seasons ago, where we actually found out exactly what was happening. And Major League Baseball punished no players. They interviewed players, and then they were basically granted immunity, and everybody else was punished. Major League Baseball really had no punitive action to anybody else.
Well, you know what? And I'll tell you right now why they didn't punish the players. Because as soon as you take away somebody's meal ticket, they're going to start singing. If you say, Alex Bregman, you're suspended for 50 games, he's going to start singing. He's going to say, this team did this, that team did that. That's why when these guys went on the, the quote unquote apology tour, that's why none of them were sorry, because they knew what they were doing. They were just playing the game so that they could continue to get their, paycheck or whatever. And when you say to somebody, you're like, hey, you're suspended for 50 games. I'm taking away 50 game checks from you. That's not going to fly. And that's exactly why Major League Baseball did not punish those guys.
All right. Now, when it comes to the players, like basically from your message overall, when it comes to that, your message, from what I get out of it, is baseball, step up and take responsibility for this. And the old adage, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And if somebody else is cheating, that means everybody's cheating, kind of applies here.
I would say, yeah, all of it, honestly. And, like I told you, I took steroids. Didn't do anything for me. I have 0 home runs.
Still a bad baseball player.
Yeah, still terrible.
No, as they say, you still got to hit the baseball. So if you were to stand in front of Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred right now, other than ask Rob Manfred to retire or step down, what would you say to him? What would you say to Major League Baseball about the cheating scandals that we do see?
Actually, I wouldn't address any of that. What I would address is why did he steal my playoff